Hi guys, my name is Megan and today I have the second part of my book recommendation for books with siblings in them for you. So the last video is all about young adult sibling relationships. This one's going to be more of like regular like adult sibling relationships. So the first book that I'm going to recommend for this one is Witchling. So I know I talked about this one quite a bit actually. So this is the first book in the Otherworld series, and this follows three sisters who are part fae. One is a witch, one is a werecat, the other is a vampire, and each of these books follows a different sister, so it switches one book per sister. I love this series. These sisters are just they're like typical sisters. They all live in the same house, they get on each other's nerves, they fight crime together. These sisters are just really funny and like really great characters, and of course they love each other to death. They're pretty awesome and they're all badass in their own ways. The next book for this part of the recommendation is going to be Discount Armageddon, so I know I've also talked about this one a lot. So this one follows, let's see, so there's three siblings in this one. So this particular book follows Verity, and she is the middle sibling of the Price family, and the Price family are like these cryptozoologists, and basically they want to help protect all of the cryptids in the United States and protect them. And I really like the sibling interactions. You don't get a whole lot of interaction in this first book, but for every couple of books it kind of switches perspectives. So the first couple of books are from Verity's point of view, the next couple of books are from her brother Alex. The latest couple of books have been in the youngest sibling Antimony's point of view, and they're really great. And I just like how all of the sibling relationships like kind of interact. So Antimony is kind of like the rebel younger sister. She doesn't really get along with her older sister, or she thinks that, you know, the older sister and older brother have always gotten all the attention and that kind of stuff, and she has to live up to that. And the middle sibling is always kind of like middle child, trying to get attention, you know, any way she can. And the oldest brother is kind of like trying not to be the center of attention. These books are really great, and they do have really good sibling interactions in later books, and a lot of really great family interaction as well. So this next book, it's not necessarily like a sibling relationship. They're cousins, but they act more like siblings than most siblings do. So that would be The Enchantment Emporium. I love this. It's also set in southern Ontario, up in Canada. So basically, Alicia kind of inherits this enchantment emporium. So it's kind of like this thrift store kind of place for like magical items. And Charlie, her cousin, is like her best friend and basically her sister. So they kind of run this thing together, and they try to take inventory of all these magical items, and you know, things pop up and disappear, and it's weird, but I love it. Also, there are dragons in this. It's pretty awesome, and all sorts of really cool family interactions, and there's magic all over. So Alicia and Charlie both have magic, and their entire family basically has magic, and you kind of get all the ins and outs of this family that are like multi-generational and like tons of cousins and brothers and sisters everywhere, and you get to see all this really cool interaction. Plus they have a magical store, so that's kind of cool, and I really do love how Alicia and Charlie interact in this. It's really awesome. So the next book that I'm going to recommend is one of my absolute favorites, and I don't talk about it enough, and that's going to be Nightlight. This is the first book in the Lindros Brothers series. This follows Cal and Nico, and Cal is kind of like this half super scary creature and half human. They haven't quite figured out what he is, but they all know it's like scary and like super creepy. And in their world there's tons of like cryptid creatures, and maybe not cryptids, but like angels, demons, like revenants, and all sorts of really weird. There's a swamp creature that lives in the middle of Central Park in New York, and that's creepy. So besides all the angels, demons, and all the weird creatures, there's also vampires, werewolves, all sorts of other really cool like creatures. And these two basically go around, they're not necessarily bounty hunters, but they kind of are, and they're just trying to, you know, stay below the government radar, because Cal is a weird creepy creature, sort of, and he gets scary. But Nico and Cal are like super close. Like Nico is the super protective older brother, doesn't want anything to hurt his little brother, he'll do anything to make sure he's safe, and Cal does the same thing to Nico. They are like so in sync and just protective of each other. It's like one of the coolest like sibling relationships, and I really do love how these characters interact with their world, and especially between themselves. They're typical brothers. They'll roughhouse and beat up on each other, but you know, they love each other at the end of the day. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's so good. It's really dark, really like gruesome and bloody, but so good. The next book I'm going to recommend is Dirty Magic. So this is the first book in the Prospero's War series. So in this realm, magic is kind of used as like a drug almost. So it's just like when people get addicted to drugs in our world, people get addicted to magic in this one, and it's like a crime to make dirty magic, or basically cook it and sell it on the streets, you know, kind of like that, like cooking drugs. So our main character character, her name is Kate Prospero. She is a cop in this book, and she basically gets drafted to work in the MEA, which is basically the DEA, but for magic. Kate used to be a street magician, so she used to cook magic, but she's kind of reformed her life, and she's raising her younger brother. I really love how Kate interacts with her brother in this because she treats him as her brother, but also as like a child that she needs to protect all the time, and to make sure he doesn't stray from the straight and narrow that she wants him to be on, because she doesn't want him to end up like she was when she was a teenager and selling magic just to make ends meet. But I really love how they interact in this. But like they have their typical sibling fights, and also that they want to, you know, protect each other, but also they want to, brother wants to be able to live his teenage life, you know, how that goes. But I really like that Kate is like taking on the responsibility of raising her brother when he would have ended up in the foster care system or something. But yeah, these characters really do love each other, and this is a great sibling relationship. Okay, so this last book is one that I read this book when I was probably too young to actually be reading it. I was probably 13 or 14 when I read this, and I bawled my eyes out. So that would be My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. So this is basically the story of this family, and one of their daughters is 6. They had another child that was basically genetically perfect match to their older daughter, so that they could use their younger daughter's cells and blood to help make their older daughter well again. So the older daughter has leukemia, and basically a lot of this book is following a court case to have the younger daughter emancipated, and you find out towards the end of the book that the younger daughter didn't want to do that. She wanted to help her sister, but the older sister didn't want that for her. She wanted her younger sister to live her own life, and she encouraged her to go get emancipated. And there's a lot of this book that probably went over my head, and I probably didn't necessarily catch a whole lot of things, and it's been a very long time since I read this, but this book is like emotionally heart-wrenching, and the sibling relationship in this is so like amazing, even though you don't necessarily see a lot of that until the end of the book. Just have some tissues ready if you read this book. Alright guys, so that was it for this recommendation video. I hope you guys found some books that you might be interested in. I could go on forever about different books. Like a ton of these books back here have sibling relationships in them, and they're all pretty awesome. If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You can also hit the notification button, and if you'd like to follow me on social media, check out the links in the description box. Alrighty, bye guys!